so no one can see my blushing face. Emoni, that's a great question. You will be staying in pairs. And actually, Leslie, you're roommates with Emoni. The first night. Señorita Mariana is younger than Buela, but I don't think it's by much. And unlike the other house mothers, she is slim and trim. She immediately grabs my book bag and is reaching for one of Pretty Leslie's rollies, but Pretty Leslie swerves away. No, it's okay, I got it. She pulls all her bags protectively to her. I smile at Señorita Mariana. You don't have to carry my bag, I say in English. I hope she understands, because I am not looking forward to breaking out my Spanish. I only speak that with Buela. Señorita Mariana cocks her head to the side. Está bien, I can help. You just got off a bus. She holds my bag and begins walking. I look over at Pretty Leslie, who shrugs. We both follow. It's a winding hill downward, and I struggle to keep my bag from rolling away from me. When Mariana turns into a storefront and opens the door, I see that it's an old-school music store. She turns on the light and motions for us to follow her. The apartment is upstairs. My kids marry and leave. Follow me. She hustles up the stairs in her long purple skirt, still carrying my suitcase. Pretty Leslie follows behind us, all red and out of breath, hauling up her bags as best she can. Girl, stop trying to prove something, I say, and grab a bag from her. She must be really winded, because she doesn't even protest. The upstairs is nice and airy, with a small kitchen and living room. Mariana points to the back. Bathroom that way, bedroom this way. She walks through a small hallway and turns on the light to the room on the left. Inside are 2 twin beds, a dresser, and a large wooden crucifix over the mirror. I will get you settled. If you need something, I will be in the kitchen warming up dinner. You come ask. She smiles and pushes her hair away from her face, looking expectant, as if we might already have questions for her. I smile back and shrug. Pretty Leslie shakes her head. When Mariana leaves, she pounces on the bed farthest from the doorway. If that lady is crazy and tries to kill us in the middle of the night, I'm not going to be the one to die first. I roll my eyes. We're in another country and you're acting like a brat, I say, and take out my clothes, folding them into small squares to fit into the dresser's drawers. Whatever, I'm not acting like anything. You just love being liked so much with your smiley self. She pulls out a pair of sweats from her smaller suitcase, pushes the 2 suitcases into a corner and her 3rd bag under her bed, and leaves the room. Miss Mariana, Pretty Leslie, and I eat a dinner of oily rice and steak in absolute silence, the dwindling daylight finally giving all of us an excuse to go to bed early. In our room, I notice that the air here smells different, like oranges. I turn on the small night lamp, quickly throw on sweats and a t-shirt, and pull off my bra through my sleeve. I crawl into bed. Although I would never let baby girl skip brushing her teeth, I want to be asleep too badly to worry about my oral hygiene tonight. I can brush my teeth in the morning. When Pretty Leslie comes into the room, I turn the light off and stare at the ceiling. I wonder what Buela and Emma are up to. It's still afternoon there. My eyes adjust to the darkness, and I look at Pretty Leslie's dark form huddled in her bed. Do you think you'll get homesick? I ask. Girl, don't try to talk to me like we're cool, she says through her teeth, and rolls over on the bed so her back is to me. I know it's only a week, but I haven't ever been away from home this long. It all looks so different than Philly. I can imagine her rolling her eyes at me. Like you told me earlier, it's only 7 days. You'll be okay. Plus, isn't one of your parents some kind of Spanish? Haven't you ever been to the Dominican or whatever? I'm half Puerto Rican, and no, I've never been anywhere outside of Philly. Pretty Leslie's only response is a loud snore. Chef Amadi. Buenos días, clase. Mi nombre es Elena Amadi, and I make modern Spanish cuisine with a North African twist. The woman at the front of the room is youngish, maybe only 10 years older than us. She has long, dark hair, and even in her chef's outfit, you can tell she works out. Angelica would call her a hottie, and I'd have to agree. We are all in a large kitchen, and Chef Amadi is the last of 7 chefs to introduce herself. The whirring fan hanging from the ceiling has done little to stop us from getting sweaty. And although we were excited this morning when we took a tour of the ancient military watchtower, most of us are looking like we're about to fall dead asleep on our feet. "I'm not going to make it, Santi," Malachi whispers. "Catch me if I faint." I roll my eyes at him. "You just gonna fall then with your big self." Chef Aiden clears his throat with that rumble of his. "Okay, now that everyone has met the chefs, I will tell you who you will be apprenticing with this week. I took into account your strengths and inclinations and paired you with someone you can not only be a help to, but also learn from. Amanda, you'll be at the bakery down the block with Chef Juan. Richard, you'll be making tapas across the street with Chef Joselina. Malachi, butchery for you with Enrique, learning to make cured meat. He's at the very bottom of the list when he looks up. Emoni, you'll be working with Chef Amadi. Modern cuisine with a twist. Sounds just like you." Cluck, cluck. "Imani, I'm looking forward to working with you this week. First, let me learn what you already know. Can you name me these ingredients?" Chef Amadi points to the different herbs and spices. "I can see that you know," she says. And I do know. I pick up the large leaf and sniff it. It's smaller than the type we use back home, but I'd know that scent anywhere. "That one's bay leaf," I say, "and that seed is cardamom." She nods and shoots me a wink. She moves us to a different station and opens a container where several large octopi chill on beds of ice. I've never worked with octopus, and I'm fascinated by the vibrant red color of the skin and the slippery feeling of it in my hands. She demonstrates with a knife how to slice through the octopus tentacles that she will marinate for grilling. I pull my hands back when they begin reaching for the spices. I feel like scolding them as if they were baby girl, always trying to touch something they have no business touching. Baby girl. I was able to FaceTime Buela and baby girl right before I got here, and it felt so good to see their faces. "Chef Amadi," I say, comfortable enough to ask something I've been wondering about. "One of the kids from school has your same last name, but with an H. Amadi. I didn't realize it was Spanish." "My family hails from Morocco," Chef Amadi says. Her voice always sounds like it's in song. I look at her. Her skin has a tinge of tan in it, but I wouldn't have thought her anything other than a Spaniard. I slow my knife down and glance at her under my lashes. "Oh no, you probably can't see it. I take after my father's side, mostly Spanish. But Spain and all of the Iberian Peninsula has a huge influence of the Moors." I didn't know a lot of this. I don't know how to respond, so I grab another tentacle and sprinkle it with oil. "Chef Aiden says you have something special, an affinity with the things that come from the dirt," he says. "A master of spices. And coming from Aiden, that means a lot. He doesn't usually believe in natural inclinations, only in working hard enough to make the hard work seem effortless. Is it true about you?" I know my eyebrows look about ready to parachute off my face. "You mean the bay leaf thing?" "No more oil, that's good." She takes a bowl of marinated octopus from my hand, covers it with a red cloth, and puts it in the fridge. "The bay leaf thing is exactly what I mean. You're new to Spain. From what your teacher tells me, not many of you have had exposure to world cuisines. Yet you know a variety of herb that looks and smells slightly different when found outside of this region. I'm sure you've probably seen it in other ways. You've probably mixed spices that no one told you would go together, cut a vegetable in a certain way that you believe will render it more flavorful. You know things that no one has taught you. See?" I shake my head no at her. Buela always said I had magic hands, but I've never said it out loud about myself. And I don't know if I believed it was magic as much as I believed I'm a really good cook. But she is right. Most of my experimenting is with spices. My Aunt Sarah sends me recipes that I practice with, and I watch a lot on Food Network. Do you have that channel here? It's really good. They have this show called Chopped. Chef Amadi puts down the rag she was wiping down the counter with and takes my hands in hers, studies my palms. "Chef Aiden tells me you have a gift. If you don't want to call it magic, fine. You have a gift, and it's probably changed the lives of people around you. When you cook, you are giving people a gift. Remember that. I pull my hands from hers. What's next? I ask. Chef Amadi purses her lips, then takes a breath and smiles. You're going to make hen for my guests. The restaurant opens for lunch in an hour and a half. We will call it the Monday Special. Her words scurry over my heart like a barrio rat, and I want to squeal out a horrified, me? But I keep my face calm and nod like I cook for dozens and dozens of people every day with a recipe I haven't tried before. She nods. Take whatever spices you want. Break down the bird in any form. We will serve it your way. Gallina a la americana. She raises an eyebrow, and I know it's a challenge. She's trying to see if I can hang. I adjust my chef's hat and walk to the pantry. I don't have to turn around to know that Chef Amadi is smiling. Gallina a la Afro-Boricua has a better ring to it. Game time. Chef Amadi's restaurant isn't big, only 5 or 6 tables, and she says usually only 20 or 30 patrons show up on a regular afternoon. She's hired 2 local college students as her serving staff and cleanup crew. Both girls smile and wave at me, but seem as shy to whip out their English as I am to try my Spanish. I don't think about talking to them for too long because I've got hen to prepare. I think about what Chef Aiden taught us in regard to the ratios needed, and although it takes me a bit, I calculate that we'll need 8 to 10 pounds of hen. I've never had to prep that much meat at one time. I come up with a quick spice mix and make sure to keep as close to my recipe as possible so that the results are similar across the board. When the bell rings over the entryway, I wipe the back of my wrist across my sweat-speckled forehead. An hour and some change has passed in the blink of an eye. Chef Amadi winks at me and goes to greet the customers. It's game time. The next 4 hours move at light speed, and when I look up to check the time, I'm covered in sweat, and we are completely out of the special. We moved from lunch to early dinner about an hour ago, but my shift with Chef Amadi spans noon to 5 p.m. She told me she'll close for an hour and regroup, then open back up for dinner. I unbutton my jacket and take off my hat before stepping out into the dining room. Chef Amadi, the hen was just so good. There was something spicy. Peppercorn or chili? A patron asks. He is a big man with a protruding belly and multiple chins. His eyes sparkle and his cheeks are red, probably from the table wine. I like him as soon as he begins to compliment the special. Thank you, Don Alberto. It's my sous chef's recipe, she says and gestures toward me. Señorita, delicioso. ¿Qué te puedo decir? Me lambí los dedos, he says, and I smile, but other than a mumbled, gracias, señor, I don't say anything else. I also hope he didn't really lick his fingers, since he's shaking my hand pretty hard, and I'd rather not have his saliva all over me, despite how much I like him. Don Alberto furrows his eyebrows, still holding my hand in his. He begins murmuring, still in Spanish. Can I tell you the oddest thing about your hen? I've been having a bad day. Everything was going wrong, including my stove not wanting to turn on, which is why I came out for dinner on a Monday of all days. But from the first bite of your food, it reminded me of my favorite aunt, sitting at her knee when she told me stories and shucked peas. His voice gets rough at the end, and I give his hand a small squeeze. Chef Amadi smiles at him. I'll bring your table another bottle of wine. I'm glad you enjoyed the special. I look around. Several tables have at least one person who ordered the hen. I see the bones and smile. The plates look licked clean. You did well, Emoni. Chef Amadi looks at her watch. Oh, but you need to go. You will miss your own supper with your group. We'll clean up here. Don't worry. Winning. When I get to the rooftop paella restaurant where our group has a table, I see that everyone looks how I feel, like a bulb has been turned on beneath our skin. Everyone at the table is too excited to shut up. We play with our dinner forks and recount our days. what our chefs or sponsors asked us to do, what we cut and measured. Pretty Leslie is shadowing a line cook. Richard is working at a seafood market, and Amanda is at a bakery. When Malachi asks what station I was working at, I shrug. You saw how small a place it was. No stations, really. Chef Amadi had me prepare the daily special. Even though Pretty Leslie is 3 seats away from me, she must be ear-hustling hard, because she leans in halfway across the table to ask, "The whole meal? On your first day?" I shrug again and don't answer. In the moment, I didn't even consider how much I was being challenged. I just put my head down and got to work. But I guess not all of us were being challenged in that same way. Chef Aiden looks calmer and happier than he did in our classroom. "I'm glad you all are learning so many different things." I look down at my cold soup, a gazpacho, and try not to smile. Then I sneak off to the bathroom so I can use the restaurant Wi-Fi to FaceTime with Buela. Baby girl is at her daycare, but at least I can hear Buela's voice and get an update on things back home. The Roots. "Good girl," Chef Amadi says as she peers over my shoulder. I clip the parsley leaves. "Now smell them. What next?" I look at the other dirt beds in the backyard garden. Chef Amadi doesn't have any of them labeled. She says their names don't matter, only where they tell her they want to be. "Are you listening to them?" I nod, even though I'm not listening. I don't even know what that means. I'm pretty sure the basil and parsley aren't talking to me. It's that something tugs at my hands, telling me what needs to go where next. I walk a loop around the garden and snip a bit here, a bit there. When I finish my circle, Chef looks at the bundle I hold out to her. "Muy bien. Today we have rabbit and mushrooms on the menu. What should we pair it with?" she asks, but she's already stepping into the restaurant, opening the big refrigerator door. She looks at me. "Rabbit with harissa," I say, closing my eyes. "Rice with mushrooms, rich with saffron." Later, in our bedroom, I tell Pretty Leslie about my day. Less because I think she cares, and more because my FaceTime with Buela was really me cooing at baby girl. Seeing her eclipsed any excitement I might feel about my day. Although it's only been 3 days, I already miss hearing her small feet pattering all over the house, her high-pitched voice singing along to Moana. But I still need to tell someone about my strange afternoon. There was no time at dinner to talk to Malachi. "She has you doing what?" Leslie says as she parts her hair so she can Bantu knot it. I look at the lines between her knots and notice some of them aren't straight. I wouldn't let baby girl walk out the house with such uneven parts. "She sounds like a crackhead. I always knew that lady was crazy, got you sniffing herbs and shit." The offer I was going to make to part her hair dies in my mouth. "Don't you think crackhead is a strong word? You don't even know her." Pretty Leslie still rolls her eyes and sucks her teeth every time she speaks to me, but I'm starting to think it has less to do with my friendship with Malachi, and more that's just the way she speaks to people. "Fine. She sounds crazy. Shouldn't she be teaching you the basics, chop and dice and mince, devein shrimp? That's what the rest of us are doing, not sniffing herbs." She shrugs. "Definitely not talking to food." I massage my feet. Chef advised all of us to buy a pair of thick-soled clogs, since we'd be spending most days on our feet. And now I wish I had listened, because my Air Maxes are not comfortable for all the hours I'm on my feet. "Do you want to be a chef, Leslie?" I ask, without looking up. I can only imagine her screw face. I wait for her sarcastic response, but it never comes. When I finally do look at her, she's rolling a puff of hair into a twist and knotting it into a neat little stack. "Leslie?" She shrugs. "I don't know, girl. Everyone wants to know what I'm going to be. I'm the first person to graduate high school in my family. First person to ever get a passport. I've been lucky to make it this far without dropping out or having a kid. No offense. My life at home, it isn't the easiest. I just want to see how far I can get. But I don't know if I'm made to be a chef. I can't talk to plants and shit." She smirks. I just know whatever it is, I want it to be major. I want to be remembered for something great. I want to leave a skyscraper-sized mark on the world that reminds people Leslie Peterson was fucking here. I look at pretty Leslie and remember what Malachi once told me about her being more than she seemed. Maybe he was right, because I know just what she means. From e.santiago at schs.edu to sarahfolks_15 at exchange.com. Date, Tuesday, March 31st, 11:48 p.m. Subject, Hi. Hey, Aunt Sarah. I just want you to know, your cobbler recipe is making the rounds here in Andalusia. That's the name for the southern region of Spain where Sevilla is located. So your cobbler traveled from the south of the U.S. to the south of the Iberian Peninsula. I let the peaches sit in the juice of some sour oranges and added apricots, and the patrons at the restaurant I'm working at gobbled it up before the lunch rush was over. Thanks for asking about baby girl. Abuela says she's been fussing and throwing tantrums, and it's probably the change in not having me around. She's fine when I talk to her on the phone, but it's not really easy for either one of us. She's going to stay with her father's family starting tomorrow, so hopefully that will help her fall into a familiar routine at his house. There are so many things I've tried here that I wish I could fold into an email and send your way. I've had amazing gelato and coffee, some incredible cheese and fried squid and sausage made from suckling pig. I know you don't eat pork, but trust me, it would smack your mama good. I probably won't be trying to recreate any of that anytime soon, but I had these little cookies powdered with sugar, and when I try it at home, I'll send you my version of the recipe. Attached is a picture the chef I'm apprenticing for took today. Don't I look all focused and professional or whatever? That salad is getting some Emoni-inspired work. Thinking of you. Sending you lots of love and a bit of cinnamon dust. E. Check-in. It's our 4th day in Spain, and half the class is buzzing. It's officially April 1st. And a lot of college acceptances will be rolling in the morning East Coast time. Some people keep wasting their data checking their phones for updates. I've already made up my mind that I won't check mine until I get back home. Amanda is going into a job training program straight from graduation, so although she smiles at our excited classmates, she also doesn't seem as pressed as everyone else. Pretty Leslie looks bored as usual, like the only care she has in the world is the chip in her manicure. Instead of starting with our usual morning tour guide, Chef Aiden has an announcement. All right, class. Your instructors tell me that with the exception of 1 or 2 of you, Chef points a finger at Malachi, most of you are doing really well. We all laugh and I elbow Malachi in the ribs. He smirks and bends down so his mouth is super close to my ear. They just don't want the rest of you to feel bad. I'm actually the best student here. My cuts of jamón ibérico would make you believe in God. I bite back a chuckle at his exaggerated Spanish pronunciation. Ahem. Chef coughs into his hand and raises an eyebrow at me. Instead of a moderated tour this morning, I thought you all could have some free time today and explore the city. Just don't go farther than the old city walls, and don't forget your shifts begin at noon. He shoos us out. Emoni, a moment? I wait for everyone to walk away, but I see Malachi standing near the bottom of the hill, clearly waiting for me. I just wanted to make sure you were okay with Chef Amadi. We went to culinary school in Paris together, and I know she can be a bit intense. Whoa. I didn't know that's how they knew each other. At Le Cordon Bleu? I don't know much about culinary institutes, but even I know that's one of the most famous and best schools for cooking in the world. He nods, and I realize then I don't know much about Chef Aiden, or how he came to be our instructor, but I'm glad he is, and I'm glad to be paired with Chef Amadi. Chef Amadi has been great. I couldn't imagine working with anyone else. Great. I'm happy it's working out. Get going. I don't want to cut too much into your free morning. And then as I walk down the hill, I hear him yell out, and don't spend too much time with Malachi. He's a bad influence, that kid. but he has laughter in his voice when he says it, and I can tell he made sure he was loud enough for Malachi to hear him. Malachi is laughing when I reach him. He scoops my hand in his, and we walk in silence behind the rest of the group, and for a single moment, I feel like the sunlight sneaking over the hill is also sneaking inside me. Gilded. When I was little, the other kids from the block and I would get together and play a game called Mancala. It's a fast-paced board game where the pieces are these glass stones that are round on one side and flat on the other. Each stone is a beautiful color: red, blue, teal, clear, shot through with squiggles of gold. I used to cradle those stones in my hand, more interested in holding them up to the light than playing the game. Even then I knew they weren't real gems, but when I held them in my hand, I felt like a rich queen, like I was holding something precious. That's how I feel about the Catedral de Sevilla. Like I want to cradle the whole thing in the palm of my hand and hold it up to the light and watch it glint and glimmer. There are all these portraits of famous popes and leaders, and everything from the floor to the ceiling is made of gold and silver. I stop turning in a wide circle, and my eyes land on sculptures in the corner of the cathedral. In the center is a coffin being held up by 4 figures, each one dressed in dark metal and gold armor and crowns. The 2 in the front have a staff in their outside hands, and the 2 in the back have the hand not holding the casket on their hip. I go stand next to a tour group so I can listen in on what their guide is saying. And this is the tomb of Christopher Columbus. I move even closer as the guide describes the remains in the tomb and how different parts of the world claim different pieces of Columbus's body for the honor of being able to say they have his final resting place. Malachi circles over. "You good, Santi?" I nod, but I don't know if I am. I walk away from the group to the other side of the massive casket, and Malachi follows. "Do you know what the word Boricua means?" Malachi shakes his head. "I know it's what all my Puerto Rican homies call themselves." I've already told you my father is a big history buff when it comes to PR, and he doesn't need much prompting to remind me that before Columbus, Puerto Rico was called Borinquen by the Taino people who lived there. He told me once it means land of the brave and noble lords. If he were here now, he would be so pissed. All over the world there are monuments to Columbus, museums trying to claim a piece of his body as if he were a saint. And look at this here, all this gold they used to honor him, gold they got from our island in the first place, and hardly anyone remembers the enslaved people who dug through the rivers for that gold, who were there before he arrived, whose descendants are still there now. And suddenly, the cathedral isn't so pretty to me anymore, despite all its gold and glitter. Histories. We walk outside the cathedral, and I'm still quiet. Julio is always lecturing me about who we are, but I usually only listen with one ear. I definitely don't get as hyped as he does. Until today. Seeing that statue of Columbus really hit home. Sometimes it seems like being Puerto Rican is such a fact of life that I forget not everyone hand washes their panties or eats pernil at Thanksgiving or has some traditions and names for things that are African and Taino, mofongo, cassava. People don't realize that Spain is a complicated place for someone like me. I just can't shake off how much it feels that this place, Spain, and this city, Sevilla, are tied to who I am, even if I'm not sure I want to be tethered to them. Want to see the castle, Santi? Malachi brushes my arm. I don't know how he knows I'm in a weird funk, but he does. I nod. We enter the Alcázar, and I'm surprised. The castle looks nothing like I expected. It's as beautiful as the rest of old Sevilla, but seems to belong to a different country. High arches, 6-pronged stars carved into the stone walkway, orange trees blooming along the perimeter. What is different about this part of the palace? a tour guide asks her group in English. We join in when we see Pretty Leslie and Amanda are a part of it. Does anyone know? We all shake our heads, and I'm surprised when Malachi raises his hand. It's paying homage to Islam. He points to the ceiling, the star and moon, and that bell over there looks like a call to prayer. Exactly right. This is one of the few palaces that shows the Muslim conquest of Spain in 711 AD. I look around. This is a place where two worlds collided. Beautiful because of the struggle that happened to create it. Holy because of the belief people had in it. A home, a masterpiece of art, a mixture of different cultures. How did you know that? I whispered to Malachi. Something about this place makes me feel a need to whisper. I'm from Newark. He shrugs. And you from Philly, so you should know every other black kid is probably Muslim. Plus, Malcolm X is my hero, and when I was younger and read his autobiography, I began to study Islam. Still figuring it out, but I picked up a lot when I visited the mosques. And although I'm a beast in science, history is my favorite class. How didn't I know he studied Islam? How didn't I know about his love of history? There's so much about you I still don't know. And suddenly I want to know everything. I want to ask him all of the things. I want to kiss the deep dimple in his cheek. Maybe it's because we are not at home anymore, but I feel free. Free to say what I want, to feel what I feel, without having to think of every single action and reaction. Hey, how about ice cream later? I ask, after dinner? His smile grows bigger and he raises a brow. You asking me on a date, Santi? You know ice cream is the way to my heart. I bite my lip. I don't know if I want his whole heart yet, but I also don't know if I would mind having it. We've entered a rose garden, a twisty maze that has big orange trees hanging over the bushes. A plaque near the entrance says that a Muslim emperor built it for his wife. Yeah, Malachi. I think I am. Shh! Pretty Leslie hushes us from the front of the group. Some of us are trying to learn. Y'all so damn rude. And I wonder how many other black Puerto Rican Philly teens have laughed in this orange tree garden built for a queen. The chase. After dinner that night, when we get to the meeting point where we go our separate ways, Chef gives us a little wave. Make sure you all get to your host family house safely. Remember, you're guests, so get there as soon as possible. Pretty Leslie and I might be the only two people who actually have been going home on time. I've been hearing stories in the morning of people going out dancing and to bars. They keep talking about trying absinthe, which is impossible to find in stores in its strongest form in the States, so folks are way too hyped to try it. Emoni, you coming home? Pretty Leslie yells from halfway up the hill to our homestay. I shake my head, and she looks from me to Malachi through narrowed eyes. Pretty Leslie didn't handle the end of y'all talking well, did she? I ask Malachi, as we take a turn that leads not to the house, but to another little street. The streets of Sevilla have ice cream shops sprinkled on almost every block, the way Poppy stores and Starbucks are back home. I pass an ice cream shop every morning, and I know it's exactly the kind of place Malachi would love. I lead the way. He shrugs. She and I had an honest conversation. I told you from the beginning I thought she was a cool girl, and I still think so, even if she says some dumb shit when she's trying to pretend she doesn't care what people think. I want to ask for more details, but I figure it's not my business. Although Malachi says he was only her friend, I wonder if she wanted to be more. Malachi takes my hand. His long fingers close over my own, and he tugs me to him when we pass a couple on the street. I look over at him, his dark brown cheeks, his high forehead, the wisps of hair on his chin, and the sideburns shaped into a perfect Philly point. He's not smiling, and I want to make him smile more than anything. He's a different person when he smiles, a friendlier Malachi, that I imagine is someone I can talk to about this Malachi standing next to me that I don't know what the hell to do with. The street lights glint against the stone streets. My hand is still in Malachi's, and he gives it a light squeeze before sticking his hands in the pockets of his black jacket and pulling my hands in with him. Outside of a restaurant, a man plays a guitar and sings a slow, sad song that sounds like it comes from the bottom of his gut. This moment is one I don't ever want to end, and my breath stops short. This is exactly why I don't hang out with guys. Angelica would tell me I'm being stupid, since I don't hang out with girls either, and she would be right. This is why I don't get close to people, because it makes it too easy to hurt them, be hurt by them. I stop walking, and Malachi stutters to a halt. I pull up on my tippy toes, grip the hand that's holding mine, and begin meeting his mouth for a kiss, when I feel a sharp tug on my shoulder, and I drop my hands to see that a little kid has taken off, clutching my purse. Children. Malachi is right behind him before I can even get a breath out. The little boy is quick and ducks around people and pivots hard into different alleyways. I follow as close as I can, keeping sight of Malachi. He never loses a beat. For a split second between gasping for air, it hits me. What it must have been like for him growing up in Newark if his eyes are so sharp and his reflexes so fast that he can keep up with a young boy in a city he doesn't know. I also realize that I need to start working out with Angelica because I fall far behind after the second block. Then Malachi has the boy by the back of his coat, and I speed up before he can hurt him. Hey, it's okay, I say, taking back the purse. The boy has long lashes, framing bright green eyes. Tears are falling down his grubby cheeks. He shakes in Malachi's hands. I touch Malachi's shoulder. He's just a kid. His hand grips the coat tighter. Ask him why. I touch his hand. Mal, stop. He wanted money. Let him go. Ask him why, Emoni. He never uses my first name. I clutch my purse tight in one arm and turn to the child. ¿Por qué robaste la cartera? I ask him. My words come out slow as I try to remember each one and make sure I'm saying them right. I've always understood Spanish better than I've spoken it, but I must have gotten my question across since the boy's eyes widen even more when he looks at me. His own Spanish sounds garbled because he's talking through tears. I wouldn't have if I knew you two were black, he says, and I almost laugh. I didn't see you from the front. Not being black would have made a difference? He runs a hand across his runny nose, avoids Malachi's hands. Everyone knows you guys run fast. Not all of us, just like not all of you steal, right? He looks down at the ground. My baby sister, she's hungry. My parents don't like it, but we beg, because we're cuter. He blinks innocently and smiles sadly. And he's right. I would have given him money. He's cute as hell. I look up at Malachi. He still hasn't let go of the boy, but his eyes seem far away. He snaps his attention back to me when I speak. He was hungry. He says he has a sister who's hungry too. Tell little man to take us to her. I want to see where they are staying. Malachi, let go of him. You're scaring him, and we can't force him to take us to his family if he doesn't want to. I have my purse back. It's not that serious. But the boy must understand some English, because he points into an alleyway not too far from us. A small face is peeking out around the wall. Malachi drops his hand from the boy's shoulder. Malachi doesn't say anything. I reach into my bag and pull out 5 euros. I put them in the little boy's palm, and he runs to the little girl, scooping her up and walking deep into the alleyway and out of sight. I just can't get over how young they are. I say to Malachi. She was only 2 or 3 years older than baby girl. I turn to Malachi, but he's still watching the darkness that the 2 kids ran into. I pat his arm. You okay? Out of breath? That was quite a sprint. I'm hoping I can joke him out of his silence, but he just blinks in the direction of the kids and then shakes his head. My mother always told me one of the hardest things to be in a hungry world is a parent. But sometimes I think it's being an older brother. To know exactly what your sibling needs and not have the age or strength to know any way to get it for them. He smirks, but his smile is empty. I put my hand in his and squeeze. Let's go get ice cream. No. I don't want ice cream anymore, Santi. He pulls on one of my curls, and I don't know if it's the sadness in his smile or his faraway look, but next thing I know, I'm arching up and holding his face between my hands. I place my thumb where his dimple would be if he were smiling. His hands move to my waist, and I can feel their warmth through my jacket. He doesn't pull me closer or push away, but I understand he needs to feel close, and I need that too. Smooch. His lips are soft. I'd forgotten how soft lips can be. It's been a long time since I kissed someone. His hands tighten in my jacket, but other than that, he's still. I step in closer, angle my head, move my hands to the back of his neck, and pull his face closer. He opens his mouth, and I bite on his bottom lip. Then I'm not thinking. I'm not planning the next step. His hand moves down to my butt and curves around it. A wolf whistle breaks through the sound of my heartbeat and heavy breathing. Pero mira eso! A drunk couple hoots and hollers at us. Come on. Malachi grabs my hand, and we walk back to the street we came from. He stops and pulls me toward him, then he's kissing me again, and I can't think because his hands move up and down my coat and the back of my jeans, and he smells so good, and I can't remember Tyrone ever touching me like this body was a dream he was afraid to wake up from. Santi, you blushing? I make you shy or something? He says, and hugs me to him. Santi, what am I supposed to do with you? I snuggle into his sweater. Nothing. We should just enjoy it. We're in goddamn Europe, across the world. No one needs us right now. We should just, I shrug, be. And when we get back, I think about baby girl. How I wake up every day expecting to see her crib, and how it clogs my throat with tears not to be near her. How I miss Buela's shuffling slippers and her yelling directions at the Eagles quarterback. How I need to find a new job and figure out what I'm going to major in if I'm accepted into college. My life when I get back is full of people I love and the responsibilities I have. And I love them and miss them, but I also want to hold this feeling of freedom tight in my fist because it has wings, and I know as soon as I loosen my grip, it will fly straight away. We figure it out then. He gives me a long look. All right, Santi. I'm following you. Where we going next? And it seems like he means in terms of directions, but I know he also means in terms of us. Even though it's a Wednesday night, 2 bars and 1 club are blaring music from across the street. I point. Malachi raises an eyebrow and squeezes my hand. Cozy. The bar is small and smoky. When we walk in, the bartender is setting a green drink on fire. A group of Americans takes the shots and cheer. 2 of them turn around, and I see Richard and Amanda. They wave, but we don't walk over. Malachi grabs my hand and moves past clusters of people to a small table at the back. We sit down side by side. I rest my head on his shoulder. Your sweater is nice. You're nicer, he says. Yeah, what do you find nice about me? Malachi's hand is on my knee, and he brushes his fingers up and down my leg. Everything. The way you dress, the way you fix your hair, the way you used to tell me we were not friends. It's all nice. I laugh and press my hand against his so it stops moving on my leg. I didn't mean to be mean to you before. Well, maybe I did, but I just have a hard time trusting people. I shrug and lift my head from his shoulder, make a move to scoot away, but he wraps his arm around me and pulls me back. What were you saying? Talk to me, Santi, Malachi says and kisses my ear. It's like now that we've started touching this way and kissing, we can't keep our bodies away from each other, but I pull back just enough so that I can look at him. When I broke up with Tyrone, when I was pregnant with baby girl, after I was pregnant with baby girl, guys thought that gave them a reason to be able to come up to me and say anything they wanted, to just grab me or invite me to their houses. They all treated me like a hoe. I rub my finger along the tabletop. The wood is sticky with spilled drinks, and I put my hand in my lap. I'm not a hoe. Not that it should matter if I was, but I'm still not having sex with you. I know what saying something like that does. Dudes either stop being interested, or they think I'm just playing hard to get. But I'm not doing either. I just want to be real clear. Look at me, Santi. I keep my eyes firmly on the wooden table. Malachi lowers his face near mine. I'm serious. Look at me. I look at his ear. He groans. At me, Santi, not behind me. I was looking at you. At your ear. I mumble and finally stare into his eyes. I open mine real big so he can tell I see him. You're such a smart ass, he laughs, and the fist in my chest curls open its fingers. I take a breath. Listen, I don't know what other guys thought, and if you point them out to me when we get back, I'll make sure they never think it again. His voice is dead serious, and I believe him. Malachi would fight people for me. I know that already. But I'm not those guys. I wanted to talk to you before I knew you had a kid. Wanted to talk to you after you did all your hair flipping, we ain't friends, finger waving. I never waved my finger. Teeth sucking, eye rolling, hip switching, lip pursing, locker door slamming. All of that was like a damn beautiful dance, and I was drawn all the way in. And cool, you don't want to have sex. You've told me you want to take it slow, and I get it. But I've been wanting to talk to you since the beginning. Just talk? I raise an eyebrow and flip my hair and wave my finger. Malachi grins and ducks his head. I mean, you know you fine. At first, I wouldn't have been mad at you if you wanted to do more than talk, he says. But now, I know my day is better because you are in it, and I want to keep you there. I hope I make your day better too. Ugly Leslie. Before I can answer, Richard and Amanda come over, pretty Leslie trailing like a little ducky behind them. I remember she was on her way home when Malachi and I left for ice cream, but she must have gotten bored by herself. She's loosely holding a drink in her right hand. Malachi, Richard says, slightly slurring his words. Why haven't you got Emoni a drink? You can drink at 16 here. Did you know that? We're celebrating college admissions. I got into Penn. Or rejections, pretty Leslie says, and takes a big gulp of her drink. Ouch. Maybe pretty Leslie cares more about admissions than I thought. I try to catch her eyes, see if she's okay, but she won't look at me. Oh, Richard, that's what's up. I'm so proud of you. I give Richard's arm a quick squeeze, and he instantly ducks his head shyly until a loud burp erupts from his mouth. You sure figured out the drinking age quick, huh? Malachi says, standing up. He stretches, and his sweater rises, showing off a bit of skin and muscle. Congrats on the admission. We should definitely drink to that. Yeah, Malachi. Get your girlfriend a drink, why don't you? Pretty Leslie sits down in the seat across from me, and Richard and Amanda fill in the chairs on either side of the table. Just some juice? I say, catching Malachi's eye. The last thing in the world I need is to get in trouble while on a school trip abroad. I remember clearly the waiver we signed, and while I don't mind taking sips of Buela's rum or holiday wine, I'll be damned if I get tipsy in another country where I don't know the area or people. Pretty Leslie shakes her head. Something with alcohol, Emoni. We're in fucking Spain. It's legal here. She takes another big drink from her cup. I shake my head at Malachi before he walks away. I don't care if it is legal. We signed permission slips, and I'm not getting in trouble with only 2 months till graduation. I lean toward Pretty Leslie. You feeling all right? I'm fucking dandy, Emoni. How about you? You look like you're having a good old time. Pretty Leslie always curses a lot, but usually not with so much bite to her words. The warm fuzzies from the kissing and cuddling with Malachi begin wearing off. I turn to Amanda. She hands me her cup and whispers in my ear, just water. The bakery assignment is different than everyone else's and means I have to be up at like 4 a.m. Have a sip. I smell it first to make sure, and then take a small drink. It's nice and cold. I smile of thanks at Amanda. Malachi walks back with 2 drinks in his hands. One is a dark liquid and has a lime and a cherry. He hands that one to me. From the other one, he takes a sip. I give Amanda back her water and hold the glass Malachi brought me to my lips. Ginger ale, some kind of syrup, a hint of Coke. No liquor, and I know the cherry and lime are just for appearances. So what are you two doing here? Amanda asks, smiling between me and Malachi. She has to know this is awkward because Pretty Leslie definitely likes him, but Amanda can be so oblivious to things, I can't even get angry with her. We were just hanging out. We walked around for a bit after dinner and then decided to stop by here, I say. Pretty Leslie keeps sipping her drink, then downs the whole thing in one gulp. Before I know it, she reaches for my cup and takes a big gulp of that. You always gotta be so fucking good. She turns to Richard. It doesn't even have liquor in it. Look, taste it. She passes the cup to him, and he takes a sip. Nope, no liquor. I think I can't even taste things anymore. He puts his head on the wet table and closes his eyes. Amanda rubs his back. What's the problem, Santi? Pretty Leslie sings Malachi's nickname for me, and from her lips it sounds distorted. You don't want to get in trouble with Chef? Don't worry, we won't tell him. We won't tell him you're fucking Malachi either. I put my hands on the table to push myself up, but Malachi grabs my arm. No, we were here first. Leslie, we don't have anything to explain to you. You're mad, but you got no reason to be. Don't try to put people's business out there, because we both know you have more than enough business of your own. Fuck you, Malachi. Pretty Leslie gets up and tries to walk away, but her fast motion and tipsiness don't seem to mix well because she grabs hold of the table. I stand up too. She looks like she's about to fall. Then she lowers her head and bends her body and throws up all over her shoes. The bar gets quiet at the sound of retching. The bartender points at us. Out! Every one of you Americans, out! The bartender runs over and he's cursing in Spanish, and his accent is so different from what I'm used to that I can't make out every word, but Amanda pulls Richard up, and he takes one look at the vomit and the angry bartender and straightens up his big self quick. I grab Pretty Leslie and put her arm around my waist, put my arm around her shoulder. She's too drunk or embarrassed to push me away. I give Malachi a little smile. Pretty Leslie is stank, but she's still my roommate. Settled. I let us into Mariana's house quietly, and Malachi holds onto Pretty Leslie's other side. Are you going to throw up again? I whisper. No light shines from under Mariana's bedroom door. It's almost 1 a.m. She usually goes to bed at 10. I want my bed. Pretty Leslie's head drops to her chest and then pops back up when she hiccups. We stagger walk in the direction of our bedroom and only just manage not to knock over a lamp. Hold on a second. I run my hands along the wall and then flip on the switch. Ugh, no light, Pretty Leslie says and plops onto her bed. She curls into a ball. I carefully tug off her vomit-covered sneakers and drop them to the floor, searching the room for somewhere to put them. All I can find is Pretty Leslie's large makeup bag on the chair by her bed. She's going to kill me. But no way I'm sleeping with throw-up shoes hanging out all willy-nilly in the room. I toss the makeup onto the chair and carefully place the shoes into the bag in such a way that I don't actually touch the vomit. I'm going to have to mop the stairs and doorway near the entrance to make sure none of it got into Mariana's house. But Leslie is going to have to wash her own sneakers. I cover her with the blanket at the foot of her bed. When I'm done, I stand up straight and blink. Malachi's in the doorway, shaking his head. I shrug. I couldn't just leave her like that. I'm a mom. You're too good is what you are. Malachi takes a step forward and I look at him. What does he think we're going to do? Pretty Leslie is drunk, but she's alive, and she's in the bed right next to mine, and Mariana's on the other side of the apartment. We both turn and look at the form in the other bed. As if sensing our stares, she turns to the wall and gives a loud burp. I laugh a little. I think you'd better leave. He nods and we walk to the door. You could have talked to any of the girls back at Schaumburg. Why were you so stuck on me? He tugs a curl. I could only think of you. I cut my eyes at him. Malachi? I whisper. Are you spitting game at me? Is this all so you can get the panties? I raise an eyebrow, but he just shakes his head. You ever going to believe me when I say I like you? We only have 2 more days here, Malachi says. Think we could spend them together? I'll show you it's more than just that. He pushes his thumb against my bottom lip. I hadn't even realized I was biting it. I nod, and he gives me a quick kiss. Good night. Boys will be. The thing is, a part of me is still so afraid to believe Malachi. It had started like this with Tyrone, too. He'd been all smooth with the compliments and the small gifts, showing up to school to walk me home, taking me on dates to the movies. I wasn't his first, and although he knew he was mine, when his parents insisted he get a paternity test, he didn't defend me. He also didn't argue when I was 5 months pregnant and accused him of cheating. Angelica had friends at his high school, and they'd seen him walking around holding hands with some other girl. And when I told him this, said how they'd sent pictures to my phone, he just shrugged. You're big as a house. What do you expect me to do? Just like that. And Tyrone is good with his words. He knows exactly how to make them land soft as a kiss or cut sharp as a pocket knife. So I knew then he was over us. He wanted to walk away but didn't know how. And I would have respected him if he'd just said, I don't think this is working for me, instead of saying, I don't understand why you're getting so mad. You don't even know her. And I could have spit fire the morning he shrugged when I told him he would have to be my baby's father, but he could no longer be my man. And every couple of months he comes back and wants to try to work things out or acts jealous if he thinks I'm flirting with someone. That's what I learned about him and most guys. Who they are when they're giving you flowers and trying to get in your pants is not who they really are when it's no longer spring and they found a new John to hang out with. And I know the past isn't a mirror image of the future, but it's a reflection of what can be. And when your first love breaks your heart, the shards of that can still draw blood for a long, long time. Heart to heart. Pretty Leslie wakes me mid-dream, and for a second, I forget where I am. I think it's baby girl's voice startling me from sleep until the words penetrate. Emoni, I think I drank too much. I feel awful. Pretty Leslie moans from her bed. I flail around trying to find my phone. It's 6 a.m. Good. You should, after drinking so much and talking so greasy to me, I say, sending a quick text to Buela saying good morning and asking after baby girl. She usually goes to sleep by 11, so I know she won't read it for another 7 hours, but at least it will be there when she wakes up. I stand. Lucky you, my grandmother made sure I was a walking pharmacy, and I've got some Alka-Seltzer in my bag. I'll go get you some water. I walk through the dark house, running my hands along the wall to find my way to the kitchen. Pretty Leslie is curled into a ball when I get back to our room. I drop 2 Alka-Seltzer tablets into the glass and hand it over. Here, I think this should help some. My abuela swears by this and ginger tea when I have any kind of ache. Does your throat hurt from throwing up so much? I threw up? Pretty Leslie asks. At least I think that's what she says, since it's muffled by her pillow. Yeah, all over your shoes. She groans and eases her way to sitting in order to take the glass of water from me. She downs the medicine. What do you remember? She bites her lip. Being at the bar. You and Malachi came in too, right? I think I sat down with you all, but I don't really remember much else. I shake my head. You said some really terrible things. You basically called me a hoe, and you embarrassed yourself. Her eyes widen, and for the first time, I see a Leslie who isn't performing the diva, or pouting, or trying to get over on someone. This girl has mascara dust on her cheekbones, her falsies twisted out of shape, and vomit crusted on her lip. A lip that's quivering as if she's about to cry. Oh my God! How did I get home? Malachi and I brought you back. You drank too much, but I still have something I want to say to you. First, I'm not trying to be better than you, and I'm not trying to show you or anyone else up. I've always kept to myself, and I don't know what you and Malachi had going on, but if he didn't want to continue with you, you can't blame me for that. I wasn't out here chasing anybody. Oh my God, Emoni. I don't even remember saying those things. I wasn't thinking. But it's how you feel though, right? I press. I mean... She stops herself mid-sentence and drinks a big gulp of water. I really liked Malachi, and I didn't know why he was so into you, but he was, is, and so She shrugs. I guess I was just angry, jealous. Everything is always perfect for you. Teachers like you, your friends are loyal, we get 1 cute transfer this year, and he's in love with you from day one. It just doesn't seem fair. I shake my head. Are you kidding? Is that how you see it? Leslie, I have a kid. I've had to go to summer school since I got